Hello there, I'm Sean Greasley and welcome to another edition of our SQL tutorials. In this tutorial I will be describing the alter statement. Now, what the alter statement can do for us is that once you have created your table, you may not want to delete it and recreate it to just change a few attributes or properties of a column name. So for example, if you decided that on your website, for example, when people register, that you originally set the email column length to about 25 characters, you realized then that people's emails were getting cut off because some were up to 50 characters long. You then wanted to amend your email field to about 50 characters instead of 25. In order to do this, you can make use of the alter statement, and this will change attributes, add constraints, add checks, and add columns even. So let's take a look. So let's describe our employee table in our examples. We've got these fields here of these types here. So for example, if we've expanded our employee table, we now have 100 departments. Therefore 2 characters here may not be sufficient. So to hold 100 we need 3 number characters. So let's see how we can achieve this. Now the alter syntax is alter table name. The name of our table is emp. All alter statements begin with this: alter table or type, maybe query, table name. So once you've done that, you can then move on to the next line, which is where the syntax differentiates. So let's try and modify our depth number here. So all you do here is modify, because you want to modify something, the name of the column you want to modify, and what you want to modify it to. Very simple. You can then specify something like you don't want to accept null values, you want to accept null, like null values are allowed, or just plain old changing your modifier, for example. So let's run this. Table altered. So if we then describe our table once more, we can see that we have changed the department number to 3. So that is how the modify function operates. We now may wish to add a column onto our table. We've expanded our business, or we may wish to add a column which is calculates the total wage of the employee. So that will be salary plus the commission. In order to do this, we keep our original syntax, alter table name. What we're doing now, we want to add a column, so add. Then we need the name of our column we want to add, so wage, for example. Of type specifier, we'll say, well, we'll keep it like this, number 72. So all we're doing, we're adding a column using the add function, name of the column, type specifier of the column name, so execute that. Table altered, describe the name of our table, execute that. As you see, we've added a new wage field here. If you wish to drop any columns, maybe delete columns, the simple syntax is alter table name, then drop column and the name of your column. Execute that. Table altered, describe our table. As you can see, it's disappeared. So that is how to modify data, add columns and drop columns. Now you may wish to add some validation into your table process, so that when users enter information or when you create a new column, you need to add validation. So if we have our original add wage column here, let's insert that into our type specifier, execute that. We've now created our wage column. We now may wish to add some validation. So in order to do this, we add a check. we specify the field we want to add the check to, wage for example. Then we specify some criteria using the check syntax that we discussed in a couple of tutorials ago. So we could say that the wage of the employee is less than or more than 3,000 or 2,000 for example. So in order to achieve this, we can say add check wage is more than 2,000. So when say users add data into your database, the wage must be over 2,000. Table altered. Let's describe the table. You may notice that we cannot actually see this check on here, but if we try to insert data into our table, insert into emp, obviously you're going to need the primary key value, so we'll use the emp number and the wage values. So primary key, so we must satisfy that, primary keys cannot be null. Then the wage, we did say it was more than 2,000, so if we put a wage of 500 in, execute this, as you can see our check constraint has been violated, and that is the check we have just added into this system. I can't remember whether it was more than 2,000 or 3,000, but I'm sure if I put 4,000 that will be valid. Execute this. One row created. So that is how to add checks within our database using the alter for the add check function. Let's re-describe our table here. So we've had a check for wage. Now we may wish to add a constraint for this. We can use this using the alter table function, like so. Instead of adding a check, we now wish to add a constraint. So constraint. Once you've specified that, you now specify the name of your constraint. So we can say wage check. So wage check for example. Then you insert the value that you want to add the constraint to. If we do that like so, we can see the unexpected end of SQL command, because we need to specify what we're adding the constraint to, which is our check value. So we need to say, add check that the wage is more than 2,000. Table altered. So what we're doing, we're adding the constraint for our check statement. You cannot, when you're specifying a constraint, which is the name of any statement, so you can reconfigure this and program this if any errors occur, it's best to apply the constraint function while you're applying the adding the check function, because you're all doing it in one big process, and you can actually see where your name values are adding onto. For example, when we created our check command previously, I can't remember whether it was more than 2,000 or 3,000. If it was more than 3,000 and we've just added a constraint for more than 2,000, then we've relabeled the wrong check statement. So it's best if you combine these, and when you do a constraint, do a check. So now we've gone through how to create columns, drop columns, modify table data, add and add check and constraint functions. You can now wish to drop constraints if you'd like. So we could say drop constraint, then the name of our constraint, which was wage underscore ck check. Execute that. Table altered. That's how to drop a constraint within a table. So I think that is exhausted the alter command. I hope you find this useful within SQL, and it saves time deleting and recreating tables to just change a few type specifiers here and there. So I've been Sean Grizzly. Thank you for listening once again, and good night.